In ancient Israel, when the land was divided by idolatry and the hearts of many had grown cold, there lived a prophet named Hosea. God called Hosea to speak to his people, not through grand speeches or signs in the sky, but through the story of his own life. Then the voice of God came to Hosea with a command unlike any other. He was told to take as his wife a woman named Gomer. To those who heard it, the command seemed impossible to understand. Gomer's reputation was known throughout the town. She was a woman whose heart wandered, drawn to fleeting affections and empty promises. Yet God's instruction was deliberate. This union would become a living message to Israel. As Hosea's marriage would be tested by betrayal and heartbreak, so too had Israel broken its vows to God, chasing after idols and false loves. And so, in quiet obedience, Hosea took Gomer as his wife. He loved her sincerely, though he knew her faithfulness would falter. In his home, the prophet carried not only the burden of his own sorrow, but the reflection of God's sorrow for his unfaithful people. For a time, Hosea and Gomer's home was peaceful. Laughter returned to its rooms, and the sound of children's play filled the air. To those who looked from the outside, they seemed content, an ordinary family blessed by God. But beneath that quiet surface, Gomer's heart began to drift. The love Hosea offered her was steady, but her spirit longed for excitement, for the fleeting affection of others. Temptation whispered to her in the night, reminding her of the life she once knew. At last, she turned away from her husband's care and went back to the world she had left behind. Hosea awoke to find her gone. No word, no promise, only absence. Her betrayal was not hers alone. It was a reflection of Israel itself. Just as Gomer left the love that sought to protect her, the people of Israel had turned from their covenant with God. They sought pleasure, wealth, and security in idols made by their own hands, forgetting the one who had freed and sustained them. Hosea's heartbreak became God's message to his people. Love abandoned, yet still enduring. The pain Hosea felt was not his alone. It was the reflection of a greater sorrow, the pain of God himself. For every tear Hosea shed, heaven wept with him. In his loneliness, he carried the heart of the Creator, who watched his people wander into betrayal. God had blessed Israel, called them his own, and led them from bondage into a land of promise. Yet now they turned away, trading his truth for lifeless idols, his love for empty rituals. Each act of unfaithfulness was a wound to the divine heart, a father watching his children forget the very one who gave them breath. Through Hosea's sorrow, God allowed his people to glimpse his own. The prophet's suffering became a message written not on parchment, but in pain, that love rejected does not die. It grieves, it waits, it calls back the lost. Even in betrayal, God's compassion endured, quietly reaching for the hearts that had turned away. Hosea and Gomer became parents in time. 3 children were born to them, each child a living message from God to his people. Their names would carry divine meaning, echoing through generations. The first was Jezreel, named after the valley where Israel's past was stained by bloodshed and corruption. His name was a warning, a reminder that judgment would fall once more upon a nation that had forgotten righteousness. The second child was a daughter, Lo Ruhamah, meaning not loved or no mercy. Through her name, God revealed that his patience, though vast, was not endless. Love cannot forever overlook betrayal. Israel had exhausted his compassion, choosing idols over intimacy with the living God. The third child was a son, Lo Ami, meaning not my people. In that name, the sorrow of heaven was heard. The bond between God and his people, once sealed in covenant, had been broken by their own hands. No longer would they be called his own, for they had chosen another master. Yet even in these names, words of warning and lament, there was a shadow of mercy. For the God who disciplines also desires to restore, and even in judgment, his heart was not far from love. In time, Gomer's life fell into ruin. The path she chose, one of fleeting pleasure and false security, led her into darkness. Those who once promised her affection abandoned her, and the comforts she chased turned to dust. Her name, once spoken in desire, became a whisper of shame. She was left alone, enslaved by the very life she thought would bring her freedom. Yet even then, Hosea did not forget her. Though his heart had been broken, love still lingered, a love not born of emotion, but of divine command and compassion. Then the word of the Lord came to him again. Go, seek her out, love her as I love the people of Israel, though they turn to other gods and defile themselves. So Hosea went and found Gomer, broken, enslaved, and discarded by those who once desired her. She stood in the marketplace, the weight of her choices heavy upon her, her dignity stripped away. Yet Hosea did not turn from her shame. He stepped forward and paid the price to bring her home. It was not out of duty, but love, a love that refused to let go even when betrayed. Through that act of mercy, the heart of God was made visible. Just as Hosea redeemed Gomer from bondage, God longed to redeem his people from the chains of sin and restore them to himself, a love that pays the cost to bring the lost back home. The Book of Hosea became both a warning and a promise. It warned that unfaithfulness brings consequence, but it also promised that love stronger than betrayal still waits for the repentant. Where judgment ends, mercy begins. Hosea's life reminds us that God's love is not fragile or fleeting. It is a love that pursues, forgives, and restores. Even when we stray, his voice calls us home.